A cottage that is steeped in mythology and whispered tales of a curse that has afflicted it for generations can be found concealed deep within the heart of a dark forest that is filled with frightening forests. When Sarah and Jake, two courageous explorers who are looking for shelter from a ferocious storm, come into this abandoned house, they unintentionally set off on an adventure that will take them into the depths of dread and sorrow. They are going to have to face forces that are beyond their comprehension and the terrible reality of the cursed witch's cabin over the course of 2 terrifying nights. Before we dive deep into our video, give a thumbs up to this video, subscribe to our channel, and turn on the notification button. A first night. What comes next? As Sarah and Jake made their way through the winding paths, the forest seemed to come to life. The canopy above them cast menacing shadows across their route, which made the woodland appear to come to life. As they moved on, the atmosphere became more dense, and it was filled with a sense of dread that caused them to have chills down their spines. Around the same time that storm clouds were gathering in the sky, they happened upon the cabin, which had a weathered facade that stood in stark contrast to the vivid life that was all around it. When Sarah and Jake entered the cabin, they did so without paying attention to the warning signals that were dispersed across the forest. As a result, they unknowingly sealed their fate. When you entered, the air was thick with the odor of decay, and the walls appeared to be groaning under the weight of secrets that had been kept for ages. In spite of the rising anxiety they were experiencing, they made an effort to make themselves at home by making a fire and getting ready for the night that was to come. On the other hand, as darkness fell, the curtain that separated the realm of the supernatural from the world of the living also began to fall. Strange noises reverberated throughout the cabin, to which were added the faint whispers of voices that had been forgotten for a very long time. As the shadows moved around the walls, their movements were strangely fluid, as if they were being directed by a hand that was not visible. Sarah and Jake were unable to fall asleep because their brains were constantly racing with dreams, each one being more horrific than the one before it. The second night, the act of releasing. When dawn arrived, there was a momentary reprieve from the horrors that had occurred over the night. However, as darkness once more descended upon the cottage, the true scope of its curse became immediately apparent. It looked as though the walls were pulsating with a life of their own, and the air was filled with a dark energy that crackled. The very soul of the forest appeared to seep through the cracks, twisting and contorting the very fabric of reality, and Sarah and Jake watched in horror as this occurred. Having reached the point where they were no longer content to remain hidden, the spirits of the cabin emerged from their slumber, their distorted shapes being highlighted by the flickering candlelight. Both Sarah and Jake retreated in dread as the spectral creatures closed in on them, their eyes blazing with a fire that seemed to come from another planet within them. When they made an attempt to flee the cabin, they discovered that they were unable to escape since they were trapped within the cabin's cursed walls. As the night progressed, Sarah and Jake's sanity began to deteriorate, and their minds became devoured by the darkness that was all around them. There was an increase in the volume of the murmurs, and the phrases were twisted and warped beyond recognition. The corners of their vision were filled with shadows that swirled around them, mocking them with visions of their very worst nightmares. During the dying moments of their lives, Sarah and Jake huddled close, their screams reverberating into the emptiness, as they were overcome by the darkness that pervaded the cottage that was inhabited by the cursed witch. It is a terrifying warning of the perils that lurk in the darkest corners of the globe that the story of Sarah and Jake serves as a reminder of. The secrets of the cursed cabin continue to be buried in mystery as the sun rises once more over the cottage, waiting for the next group of tourists who are not paying attention to their surroundings to stumble onto its ghostly stairs. Be wary, however, of those who have the courage to travel into its depths, for the curse of the witch's cottage may never let go of its hold, ensnaring all those who have the courage to enter in an unending nightmare of fear and despair. The cursed witch's cabin is tucked away deep in the twisting woods, hidden by gnarled branches and heavy fog. Even the most courageous people are frightened by the legends surrounding it, which is a whispered story among the locals. It is said that the cabin is guarded by evil spirits, shrouded in darkness, and cursed by ancient magic. So those who venture to find it do so with caution. The cabin is a dilapidated building with weathered and bent timbers that were once solid. Its decaying walls are covered in moss and vine, hiding the faded inscriptions carved into the wood. The windows are empty sockets that stare out into the darkness like hollow eyes, and the roof is sagging from the weight of the years. There's an instant feeling of unease as you go closer to the cabin. The sounds of the forest go quiet, as though they are afraid of what lies ahead, and the air becomes heavy with an unusual cold. The earth itself appears to quiver under your feet, as though objecting to your presence in this cursed location. The cavern is a maze of hidden passages and shadows inside. The smell of herbs and incense fills the air, and odd symbols adorn the walls, shining dimly in the low light. The furniture is strewn all over the place, seeming as though the people who were in there have left only hushed murmurs of their existence. However, people who venture inside are not afraid because of the cavern's physical status. It is the sensation of being observed, of having eyes watching everything you do. Along the walls, shadows dance, taking on twisted forms that seem menacing and mocking. Then there are the voices, which are murmurs in the shadows that convey knowledge that is prohibited and phrases of old power. They yell at everyone who dares to set foot on this cursed land, offering both immeasurable wealth and horrifying horrors. According to legend, the witches who formerly called these walls home were experts in the darkest arts, their spells driven by insanity and bloodlust. Seeking power beyond the reach of mortals, they entered into agreements with demons and ventured into prohibited territories. However, their arrogance ultimately proved to be their downfall, as the very darkness they attempted to subdue eventually devoured them. Their cabin now serves as a cautionary tale about the dangers of temptation and arrogance, directed at anybody who dared to tamper with forces beyond their comprehension. Thus, the cursed witch's hut still stands as a menacing artifact from a bygone era, silently watching for the next unsuspecting person to step through its doors. That's pretty much it for today. If you liked the video, let us know in the comments. Share this video with your loved ones. Goodbye.